So I want to tell you a little bit about the Supplyant story so far, and it is so far because as far as we see it is that we're only just getting going and we still see ourselves as a startup even 9 years into our journey. But if I just take a little bit of a moment for anybody who doesn't actually know about where we've come from and how Supplyant started and all of that storytelling, then I just want to spend a little bit of time just to give you the backfill so that you can comprehend it and use that when you are speaking to others, and just gives you a bit of an understanding about how we've ended up where we are, and hopefully explains also a little bit about where we're trying to go to. So in a nutshell, where it started out was I went to art school. My brother went to a mechanical engineering course in Sunderland, and he was always focused on problem solving, and I was always focused on creating problems for people in terms of looking at things strategically and creatively. So we teamed up in the first instance back in about 1998 when we were working on websites, when they had the 57K dial-up modems and it was pinging away in this kind of, you know, and if you're old like me, then you'll remember all of that. But anybody who's not old, then you probably think, what the hell is he talking about? But essentially, the connection to the internet was something that we really wanted to get on board with. Because my background was in marketing, and being in marketing, I had a lot of people coming to me in the first instance saying, you know, you're into marketing and we need a website, therefore we must be the go-to guys to be able to get that done. But truth be told is that, you know, websites were very technical. It's completely opposite in many ways to traditional design, in that it was dealing with code and language and lots of computer skills. So I teamed up with Simon and I asked him, I said, I've been asked to do this website, can you help? And he said, no, I can't help and I don't know how to do it. And 3 days later, he phoned up and he said, I've done it. And, you know, really that was the start of everything in terms of starting to build websites in the very, very early days of putting essentially brochures online. From the back of that, when we started to grow, we had a company that came and approached us and said they'd like us to do some design work for an automotive store. We did the design work, which was shop frontages and things like that. We said we wanted to do an e-commerce site. They said they've got no money left. So Simon and I decided that we were going to do it on a commission-only deal because it was a good way in the door. And what happened there, cut through to 3 years later, is we had 293 brands and we had 89 dealers nationwide, with £500,000 worth of marketing budget a year to grow this business as a cooperative of dealers selling these different types of products. So that was our first foray into e-commerce marketing, and actually we realised we were pretty good at it, and you know that's where we were the strongest, which is you know, we can help people get this stuff off the shelf, and it was the partnership. So the next one was a partnership where we met somebody called Tim, and Tim introduced us to a company that sold reptile equipment, and they were selling around £20 a month. And he said, could you help these guys in the same way you've been able to do this yourself? Well, we looked at it and said, yeah, why not? Did the same sort of thing, commission deal, set it up, and hey presto, 9 years later, we're now in a position where they are a multi-million-pound business selling those retailing reptile equipment and reptile food online across the whole country. And then the second customer we met was a guy called Chris, who was selling bathrooms and taps and showers and whatnot on eBay, and he wanted to work with somebody putting those things onto a website. So we helped him do that, and the agreement literally was, I get it on the shelf, you get it off the shelf. And again, cut a long story short, his first months of sales on his website was £5,000, and 9 years later he's doing £100 million worth of business. He has now exited out of the business, owned by a FTSE 100 company. You know, it's a remarkable story, and created jobs for 250 people. And Supplyant still work with them. And I think that's a real testament to how we can sustain these relationships over such a long period of time, going from a startup to a mid-sized company into a large organisation. So that's really where we find ourselves now, 10 years on, working with hundreds of different companies, not just those two particular stories, but every single one of those companies all becoming involved in e-commerce for different reasons. Some want to make lots of money. Some want to have a change of environment from their current jobs because of health or lack of interest in the way they were doing it before. And you know, the internet is an amazing place, and you can create new wealth by going onto these channels. So the Supplyant story so far is that we've helped lots of people succeed in growing their businesses online. And I have to caveat that with we've worked with a lot of business owners that haven't been able to do it. And I mentioned in the previous lesson talking about ownership and accountability, in the fact that we can only do our bit. When partnerships is that even if we're the best guys in the world, if we're not working with people who are motivated and have a lot of intent to be able to commit their time and learning to growing as well, then it's never going to work. So don't expect 100% success, but do expect to give it 100% on your side, and that's our job. So the story moving forward is that we're going to work with more companies. We're going to diversify into lots of different areas that you don't even know about yet. I don't know about yet. You know, when we started this off, Facebook wasn't around, Instagram wasn't around. Any of these channels that are now considered mandatory just didn't exist. And I know in the next couple of years, there's going to be more of them. So enjoy the change. And the Supplyant story so far is that we've been involved in e-commerce in a traditional sense, but it's going to go into many, many new areas that even I don't know about yet. And we want you to be part of that journey too. So come and join us.